think everyone on the committee, from all the political parties and none, felt that the outline business case for the so-called STP, Sustainability and Transformation Plan, was just not fit for purpose. It alienated local people in Cornwall who came to engage. There was no detail in it. Everyone's frightened for their community hospitals. We all recognise that we need to change some of the systems that the NHS uses, but the way in which this was approached, the way in which it was written down and presented to the local community was just plain wrong.
Do you think there's a risk that by undermining the work so far in this very public way, that the process of the Sustainability and Transformation Plan itself is going to be delayed at best and possibly wrecked?
Well, I think it had to be. They have to take stock, they have to look and reflect and come up with the answers, because it's not actually what we particularly felt, it was the evidence that we garnered over many months. And we've been working for 6 or 7 months, looking at the documents, looking at the background documents, taking evidence, receiving written evidence, and our own experience of both the NHS and the engagement process. So a lot of experience was brought to bear, and that's where we reached our conclusions, and remarkably easily.
So why has the subcommittee come up with such unusually strong language?
Because we felt that, firstly, the STP didn't have really much significant information in it. It was very woolly, and also we felt that the consultation process was not robust enough, and the questionnaire, the survey really was very much closed questions, which means that really you're giving the answer that they want rather than people giving their opinions. And so we felt that because of the emails and the questions and inquiries that we had to the subcommittee, and also the responses that we had when we had the face-to-face consultations, that really our report was very fair.
Do you think this puts the Council's Chief Executive, who is also the chair of the STP, in a difficult position?
That's a good question. Not really, because I think it's not just hers, it's the other 4 chief execs, or 3 chief execs. So the group themselves, I think, they're advised and they're looked at by leads as well. So I think it's just a point of actually taking on board what we've said and making sure that it doesn't happen that way again.
Rob, unusually firm language from a Cornwall Council subcommittee. Why you put the boot into the STP quite so determinedly?
We gathered information from a vast range of sources. We wrote to 40 organisations, and we've had staff organisations talk to us, individual groups, individuals themselves talk to us, and it was directly as a result of their concerns, plus the fact we attended engagement events ourselves, and I sat on a panel of one engagement event, so it's very clear that the evidence that we were given was conclusive that the entire process was fundamentally flawed.
Where do you think this leaves the Chief Executive of the Council vis-à-vis her position as chair of the STP?
Okay. Our view was that the outline business case wasn't that. Okay, and that's been very clear in our summary. But what it is it's a response to the direction given by NHS England. So the boxes were ticked. There's no doubt about that. They've delivered what they were asked to deliver. So I think in terms of the Chief Executive of Cornwall Council, her position's okay, because what we've said is it isn't a good outline business case, but you and your team have done what they were asked to do. The question really should be addressed to NHS England, because we believe that their process is fundamentally flawed. Here in Cornwall, we followed the guidelines that they were given.
But given that the council is a player within the STP, and so
yes.
And with Kate Canally, your chief executive's position there, chairing the STP, you do have leverage, don't you, over the direction that the STP takes, and they can't ignore what you've said about them today.
I would hope not. A substantial amount of work, time and effort has gone into this position statement, and we didn't take it lightly. We've used very strong language because that's exactly how we feel about it, and we would be disingenuous if we diluted it in any way, shape, size or form. I'm confident that we've evidenced every point that we've made, so that will be included in the final business case, because frankly the outline business case, it's speculative. what we're saying to them is, these are our concerns. You must take them into consideration when you produce the final business case. But not only that, what Scrutiny doesn't want is to be given the finished document. What we want you to do is say, here's the first draft, early. Here's the first draft. What do you think about it? Is it consistent with what you said we should be doing? If it is, that's fine, or we can refine it. But we want to be involved every step along the way until we get that final document.
Now, the committee was very clear they wanted a lot more financial information.
Indeed.
Later on, you're going to be talking about the community hospital's estate,
Yes.
but in a confidential part of the meeting.
Yes.
As you may know, I have been trying to get information about which hospitals need repairs, how much those hospital estates are worth, and I was told by property company, NHS Property Services Company, all that information is commercially sensitive, and yet it's not really possible, is it, to come to a considered view about where facilities should be unless you've got that financial information.
Okay.
Will you be putting this information into the public domain?
The reason that it's been put in part 2 is because we were asked to put it in part 2. I can't judge what I'm going to be told until I've heard it. I absolutely believe in openness and honesty. Through all the work of the subcommittee that we did on the STP, there were public meetings. We want people to understand what it is and be clear about what it is we're doing. So I can't judge yet. We've got the rest of the meeting to come. When I've got that information, I will make a decision about whether we should put that in the public domain or not. They can request that we don't, but ultimately the decision belongs to the Scrutiny Committee itself. If I can, I will.